It is no secret that I'm very passionate about the fact that you don't have to spend a lot of money to get high quality products. The drugstore is just killing it over the last few years. And I've been a drugstore fan for years and years. Ever since I started my channel, that has been a main focus for me. And even though I love shopping at Sephora, there are high-end brands I love, I just get so excited about drugstore launches. So in today's video, I wanted to share some drugstore products that I think are better than high-end. And I don't say that lightly. I really do think the quality, the formulas are significantly better. And they're obviously less expensive because they're sold at the drugstore. Everything in today's video is under $15. In some cases, I have like a high-end product to compare it to where I would recommend the drugstore product instead. But in some cases, the products as a whole really are just that good that I wouldn't recommend spending your money on an expensive alternative. So I'm excited to talk about these products. This is an ongoing series that I have on my channel. So if you want to see more videos like this, get even more recommendations, I just filmed one a couple months ago. I'll link the playlist in the description box below. Okay, let's start with a brand new launch. I have to talk about the NYX Buttermelt Blushes. This formula is so stunning. And I love that NYX made powder blush and powder bronzer exciting again. I know a lot of people really enjoy powder formulas, and it seems like so many brands were focusing on liquids and creams, especially over the last year or two. And I feel like we're going to see more powders, but this formula from NYX is so beautiful, and it just proves that powder products and drugstore formulas have come such a long way because this really does feel like a luxury formula. I have 3 different shades that I'll swatch for you, and I'm going to apply all of these products on camera so you can see what they look like on the skin, how they blend, how they go on. Today I'm actually wearing the Buttermelt Blush in the shade Feeling Butta, which is described as a shimmering terracotta. I have a very small amount of this on because this is a super rich, very highly pigmented blush, which is amazing, but you can also sheer it out to get a very subtle look. So these are really, really customizable. If you haven't tried this formula, I do recommend going in with a light hand at first, but even if you apply a little bit too much, it's very easy to blend it out. You really can't mess up this formula because it is such a creamy powder that just melts into the skin in the most beautiful way. You can apply it directly on top of liquid products, on top of creams, or on top of powder, and there is no skipping at all. It just glides onto the skin. Now, if you prefer a matte finish, I wouldn't really recommend this formula because they do end up looking glowy on the skin. The bronzers look a little bit less glowy, I will say. It's more of like a natural satin finish. But I find that all of the blushes, at least the 3 that I have, look pretty glowy on the skin. Some have actual shimmer in them, and online they do a good job of differentiating. And I will say the cheek swatches that NYX provided are really, really helpful, and I find them to be accurate. Like all 3 of the shades I purchased look like that on the skin. So I think that's a really helpful way to decide which shades to grab rather than looking at the outside packaging or the pan. I'll actually insert them in the video for you just so you can get an idea of what the blush shades look like. There are so many gorgeous colors. There are some more neutral shades. There are some bright shades, some really rich, deep shades, some that are a little bit lighter and softer. So honestly, I feel like there will be a blush for everyone. I will say there is a little bit of a scent. It's pretty subtle. It's kind of like a beachy, fruity scent, and I don't smell it once it's on the skin at all. In fact, I feel like the bronzer scent is a little bit stronger. The bronzers have more of like a coconut beachy scent. I have not felt so passionately about a drugstore blush or bronzer as I have these in, I want to say, years. Like, it's been such a long time, but I really do think this is such a high quality formula. While we are on the topic of blush, there is another one that I want to mention. This is such a hidden gem. I picked this up so randomly. Ulta was having a sale not too long ago, and like the entire Ulta Beauty collection, their in-house brand, was on sale. I want to say for like 40% off. And usually when that happens, I do try like 1 or 2 products because I feel like there are a lot of hidden gems within that line. As I was scrolling through the products, I saw this one and it just sounded interesting. This is their Blush Beam Cream Blush. So I only picked up 1 shade, so I'll talk about this shade specifically. It's called Garden Party, but this looks amazing on the skin. I haven't been able to put it down. It is the perfect mix between a highlighter and a blush. It is a cream formula, but it is so incredibly easy to use. Sometimes creams can be a little bit difficult because they might lift powder, they might look patchy, they won't blend out well, or they'll fade super quickly throughout the day. There's always something, but this looks amazing on the skin. It really does feel like a luxury formula. In fact, I find it very similar to the Makeup by Mario Soft Pop Plumping Blush Veil. So I have the shade Barely Blushing, which would probably be the closest match, but they're not exact. I'll swatch them next to each other for you just so you can see the differences. But the reason why I like the Ulta Beauty formula better is because it has this amazing glow to it. And it's not like the typical glow you get from a cream blush. It really does look like you applied a cream blush and then a highlighter on top. Because when I apply this to my cheeks, I feel like the way the light hits the product really highlights more so the cheekbone or where you would apply highlighter rather than just having like an intense glowy cheek as a whole. But every time I wear this and I'm outside and I catch like a glimpse of myself in the car mirror or like I'm taking a photo, I am just amazed by how good it looks. It looks smooth and natural, but it also looks really healthy and your skin just looks incredibly hydrated. I feel like it is the perfect product for spring and summer. In fact, I do want to pick up an additional shade or two. I think I have the lightest shade, so I'm kind of curious about a deeper shade. It is a pretty light sheer formula. I do think it has a little bit more pigment than the Makeup by Mario formula, but in the end, it does kind of melt into your skin in a very natural way, and it just gives you the most healthy, gorgeous glow. It feels like everyone is still trying to dupe the Tarte Maracuja Juicy Lips. Like every single week, another brand comes out with something that's kind of similar. In fact, when I was scrolling on Instagram last night, I just saw someone else come out with something pretty close, and I can't remember which brand it was. I'll probably try it just to see if it is similar, but I feel like a lot of drugstore brands have come out with something similar, but not exact until now. When I tried the ColourPop, I almost said Tarte. When I tried the ColourPop So Juicy Plumping Gloss Bombs, I was like, those are the most similar out of everything I've tried. I've tried Flower Beauty, NYX, e.l.f. I'm probably missing a few others. A lot of them are really nice, but they're not like exact dupes in my mind. I feel like a lot of brands feel more like a lipstick or more like a balm rather than an actual gloss balm like Tarte. But these are so similar. I feel like they are basically an exact dupe. I am wearing the shade Vacay Mood over a little bit of the ColourPop Lippie pencil in the shade BFF, and this has just become like my go-to product. It's very pretty. It's so glossy, so comfortable. It's like the perfect texture. It's thin without being so thin that you feel like it's going to wear off quickly, and it's not so thick that it looks heavy and streaky on the lips. It just gives your lips the most beautiful, juicy shine. These are made with hyaluronic acid, ceramides, peptides. They do say that one of the ingredients is ginger, so I was kind of nervous when I first read that because the NYX Duck Plumps have ginger, and those are so intense. These do have a little bit of a cooling sensation, but it's not over the top. It's not unpleasant. It's not so intense that I feel like anyone would really find it unpleasant. It's like barely noticeable. I think it feels nice on the lips. So they say they have a peppermint cookie scent or flavor. They don't really taste like anything to me, but I would say that I can kind of smell like the vanilla scent. I don't really get like a lot of peppermint from these. Yeah, I guess I do if I really try to smell it, but it's mostly vanilla. I'm honestly in love with this formula. The only con for me is that there are only 6 shades. I wish they had even more options to choose from. At this point, I feel like a lot of people already own the Tarte ones, but if there's a shade that really appeals to you, I definitely think the Tarte or the ColourPop ones are worth checking out. The only other thing I want to mention is these get very messy. So they probably should have gone with more of an opaque cap or maybe made it slightly bigger. I don't know if the Tarte ones do the same thing. I don't think they do, but the Tarte cap is opaque so you can't tell. That's just kind of like a little bit of a nitpicky thing. They don't look the nicest. They get a little bit messy, and the product tends to get all over like the outside. You'll see when I show you. So just something small, but I did want to point that out. I have 2 new lip products from Essence that I wanted to talk about in today's video as well. So I have talked about the Essence Hydra Kiss Lip Oil on my channel before. I only had 1 shade. I had Pink Champagne, and I know that I've talked about this in a few videos, but I cannot get enough of this. I've recently said like this is my favorite drugstore lip oil, or just like favorite lip oil in general. I don't really own, do I own any high-end lip oils? I'm trying to think. I actually don't think I do at this point. There are so many drugstore ones that I've tried though and that I do own. I need to film an updated video on the best and worst drugstore lip oils, but I love this one so much. Like the second I tried this, I was like, that is an instant favorite, and I haven't been able to put it down. In fact, I picked up the other 2 shades and I love these just as much. I mean, I don't know if I love them just as much. I feel like Pink Champagne is still my favorite just because it does have more of like a hint of color to it. And then there's Kiss from a Rose, which is basically clear on the lips. And then there's also Honey Honey, which has like a little bit of a warm tint to it. This has some great ingredients like hyaluronic acid, jojoba oil, vitamin E. The texture is the perfect thickness. It's not too runny. It's not overly thick where it feels like an intense gloss. It's like this medium plush texture that just glides on the lips and it makes your lips look so smooth, very glossy. It's very, very moisturizing. Once the product wears off, my lips feel so good. And weirdly enough, so many lip oils end up drying my lips out. And I feel like a lot of you have said the same thing. I don't find that to be the case with this. I feel like it's pretty long lasting for a lip oil. And even once that initial glossy layer wears off, my lips are really, really moisturized afterwards. The only thing about this is I've gotten comments from some of you saying that you can't stand the scent of it, which I found so interesting because I don't smell a strong scent from this product. It's so light and subtle to me that like the first time I talked about this, I was like, there's no scent. But after I got a lot of comments, I was like, I have to go back and smell it again. Okay, I will say the clear one is maybe a little bit stronger than the other two. Like this, I can smell like a little bit of a floral perfumey scent, but it's so subtle. I really don't notice it at all. So I know everyone, again, feels differently. I'm not saying you're wrong if you do feel like these are scented. I just want to say keep that in mind because I have gotten a lot of comments from you guys saying you find them very, very scented, which is the worst. I totally understand because I don't like the hard candy lip oils for the same reason. So normally I don't try like every single new lip balm launch or every single new sugar scrub launch, especially the ones that come in like the pot packaging. I definitely prefer like a squeezy tube applicator or something with a doe foot, but I decided to pick this one up and I'm so glad I did because this is such a gorgeous formula. It is the Essence Lip Care Jelly Sleeping Mask. This is actually very, very similar in my opinion to the Glow Recipe Plump Hyaluronic Gloss Balm. If you look past the color, I do feel like the textures are pretty similar. I will say the Essence one is maybe a little bit thicker. It feels slightly more nourishing, a little bit more luxurious. Like if these were in the same exact packaging, I would probably assume the Essence one was the higher end alternative and the Glow Recipe one was the drugstore alternative. They're both great products. I do enjoy them and I think they both feel great on the lips and they definitely hydrate my lips so nicely. But this Essence one is $5. It is significantly less expensive, and I find myself reaching for it over the Glow Recipe one. The Glow Recipe one obviously has like that beautiful glass packaging, and I do love Glow Recipe products, but if you want to save the money and you still want a beautiful, high quality overnight lip mask, I do recommend this one from Essence. It has shea butter, vitamin E, hyaluronic acid. I will say the Essence product comes with 0.28 ounces and the Glow Recipe product comes with 0.5, so you do get about twice the amount of product in here, but Glow Recipe is $22, Essence is $5. So even if you purchase two of these, you would still be saving $12. Again, you might want to take a closer look just to see which ingredients stand out to you, but if you're looking for just like a good overnight hydrating lip balm, I highly recommend this one. I do have a rediscovered favorite to share with you. I'm so glad I repurchased this. I used to love this product years and years ago. And then I went through a period where I just wasn't really into like skin tints or tinted moisturizers. And even back when I loved this product, I definitely preferred full coverage. But there was something about this formula that looked so good on the skin. And now that I've definitely learn to appreciate a lighter coverage product, I decided to try it again, and I'm so glad I did. I don't even think I said this is the ColourPop Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Acid Tinted Moisturizer. Why did I ever let this go? This is such a beautiful formula. I wear the shade Light 5N. It feels like every brand has been coming out with their version of a tinted moisturizer over the last few years, but no one really calls it a tinted moisturizer anymore. I feel like everyone calls it a tinted serum or a skin tint, but they're all kind of very, very similar. And if you've overlooked this because it was just like an older product or because it has the name tinted moisturizer rather than like skin tint, which does kind of sound a little bit more appealing just because it is kind of trendy, I highly recommend checking this out. I'm pretty sure they sell this in actual Ulta stores if you want to feel the texture of it, but it is beautiful. It is so light, so natural on the skin. It gives your skin the most gorgeous, healthy, hydrated glow. Now, if you have oily skin, this might not be the most ideal option for you compared to other formulas that dry down a little bit more matte, which, you know, I have a few that I love. I love Fenty, although that does have more coverage. I also love the Typology one. That one isn't fully matte, but I feel like it's not as glowy as this one. But if you do love a beautiful, hydrated, glowy look, this is going to be perfect for you. You can totally set it with powder, which is what I normally do, and it still looks great on the skin. It blends into the skin so beautifully. You can use your fingers, you can use a sponge or a brush, and very rarely do I find a product that I actually like to apply with my fingers, but this goes on so nicely with your fingers. So I'll usually just blend it into my skin very quickly with my fingers and then go over it with a brush to kind of press it in, and I love the way it looks. It looks amazing. This is not the type of product that I'm going to wear if I want my makeup to look perfect all day long. And again, I do have oily skin, so if you have dry skin, that might not be as much of a concern for you. This is what I will throw on if I'm like running errands in the morning and then I'm coming back home and I don't care if my makeup really lasts all day. If I just want something super light on my skin, very natural, if my skin feels dry or dehydrated and it looks like it just needs like an added boost, I'm kind of curious to mix this with the e.l.f. bronzing drops. I feel like that would be the prettiest summer combo. Although the shade Light 5N is kind of like a perfect shade match for me. That might make it a little bit too dark, but maybe later on in the summer. Of course, I had to talk about this product. It is so beautiful on the skin. e.l.f. really has been coming out with some amazing dupes, and I know not everyone is a fan of the fact that e.l.f. does do a lot of dupes, but I will say a lot of their dupes or alternatives outperform the higher end alternatives. I haven't tried the Drunk Elephant bronzer drops in a little while, but I've tried some other alternatives, and in my opinion, this formula really is better than the other ones I've tried because it's very customizable. You can use it on its own. I would recommend applying it to like a very nicely moisturized base. It does dry down pretty fast and it's pretty pigmented, so if you're using it on its own, it might look a little bit streaky if you're just applying it to like dry skin. So what e.l.f. recommends and what I do recommend too is mixing it with either like a moisturizer, a tinted moisturizer, a foundation to get the best effect. I personally do like mixing this in with my foundations that are a little bit too light or a little bit too matte because it adds the perfect amount of like a subtle bronzy glow and a little bit of moisture. So my foundations look a little bit more natural on the skin, slightly glowy, less matte, very, very pretty. But this type of product really comes in handy, and it will be so nice to be able to use foundations that can sometimes be a little bit too light for me in the summer if I get any sort of tan by just mixing in a little bit of this product. So I'm really impressed by the quality. I think it is beautiful. They have 3 different options. I have pure gold, which I think looks nice, but I think I might try the rose gold one too. So I highly recommend trying these out if you haven't already. This is a rediscovered favorite. It's the NYX Bare With Me Concealer Serum. So I was switching out my everyday makeup drawer for spring. If you like to see the products that I use the most often, everything that I'm kind of focusing on for the season, I'll link that video below. I usually film one like at the beginning of every season. And I decided to put this concealer in my drawer because it's been a while since I've used it regularly, and I'm so glad I did because ever since I did that, I've been reaching for this and I'm reminded how beautiful the formula really is. It's a very moisturizing, very smoothing formula. They do say it has medium coverage, which I would agree with because you can sheer it out to look a little bit lighter, but you can also build it up to look a little bit more full coverage. I love using this product under the eyes, but if I have like a breakout or acne scarring or my skin is like a little bit dry in one area, this is perfect because it is such a smooth formula. So it just glides over the area beautifully while still providing coverage. I do find that it wears really well because it is so creamy. I always, like in the back of my mind, I'm like, that's not going to last. It's going to crease. It's going to wear off, but it really doesn't. The only thing that I don't love about this is the packaging. I really wish it came in like the traditional concealer type packaging. I don't know. I mean, when I apply this with my fingers, it goes on so nicely. So I do think it is the type of formula that is best applied with the fingers and then blended out with a sponge or a brush because you can just kind of like melt the product into the skin in a very natural way. But I think that's the reason why I tend to forget about it and it like makes its way to the back of my drawer and then I rediscover it every few months. Because sometimes when I'm in a hurry, I just want like the ease of use that comes with a typical concealer wand. That's the only reason I feel like I forget about it so often, but the formula is so high quality. Like it really does compete with and even beat out a lot of my higher end concealers, even the ones I've been loving so much lately. It just has this gorgeous smoothing quality to it, and I absolutely love it. Okay, last product doesn't need like a ton of explanation because I have talked about it before, but the Lash Without Limits mascara from Essence is so good. I cannot stop wearing this, and I recently purchased the brown one, and this is my most ideal brown mascara ever. It is so beautiful. When I first tried it, I was like, okay, that looks nice, and then I was watching the footage back, and I was like, no, that is the perfect tone of brown. It's like a nice medium to dark brown, but it actually looks brown on the lashes. It doesn't look black. You know what? In the close-up shot, I'll apply the black on one side and the brown on one side so you can actually see what they look like, the differences. The formula is great. Like it really is a dramatic, lengthening, beautiful formula. You get drama, but you also get separation. And what I love to do with this mascara is like apply it at the root and just go in with like 1 or 2 coats like I normally would, and then take the mascara and just apply it to the tips of the lashes for the 3rd coat to give them like an extra lengthened appearance, and that works so well with this one. But like I said, if you're looking for more of like a subtle color but still a dramatic formula, the brown is perfect. I've tried a lot of brown mascaras over the last year or two, and this one is the most perfect tone that I've tried so far, but I also love the formula. Sometimes I like the tone, but I don't love the formula, or I like the formula, but the tone is off. All around, this is the one. Okay, that is it for today's video. I feel like I talked a lot in this video, but honestly, I just get so excited when I find really good affordable products that actually compete with or are better than high end. And I really do feel like that's the case for all of these. Like sometimes when I'm kind of on the fence about a product, like it's really good, but is it actually better than high end? I like kick it out of the lineup because I'm like, no, I really want to focus on products that are truly better than high end. So I hope today's video was helpful for you. If you like drugstore videos, I would love for you to subscribe. I film a ton of them. I'll link a few on the screen for you right now, and I'll see you very soon with a new one. Bye.